Hi there, it's Kevin and Samus with Gonro Games. This is Buttons and Bruce's sister, so you're going to see a lot more of her at the store, as now we've turned into a dog store apparently. And we have a huge mess to go through, so still overwhelmed with shipping off all the releases that have hit all at once. The Pokemon, the Gundam, the Magic the Gathering, Edge of Eternities, and then now this monstrosity, which I told you was coming. I told you this was coming. The Final Fantasy Commander decks. So this is my first big batch of Final Fantasy Commander decks. And so I decided to look up TCG Player prices right now for the Final Fantasy Commander decks. And oh boy, is the market actually crashed for these. So I will actually be surprised if they hold what they're holding at. They're going for $200 right now. $200. That is a $100 decrease from the latest low. There was a small little trickle in of Final Fantasy Commanders from, I think, just some. What usually ends up happening is there will be inevitably some WPN stores that either didn't claim their allocations or didn't respond back to distributors or went bankrupt or put up, closed store, and then their allocations kind of get moved back in the market. That's when we see this like secondary, I wouldn't even call it a wave. Sometimes stores will get offered a little more trickle in, and that's how I was able to get a couple Final Fantasy Commander decks. And then I was talking to distributors and just was asking casually about Final Fantasy about a few days ago, and they did say that Commander decks were back in, and I jumped on them and bought as many as I could. So I am a little bit nervous about this product because the market, I thought for sure, would be able to hold around 250 for the Commander decks. But unfortunately, like this is it seems like these casual businesses have absolutely zero patience, which is, it's fine. It is their prerogative, but these stores are actually blowing them out. I mean, it's a race to the bottom right now. We're watching it real time as people list these Final Fantasy Commander decks, and I think it's just a clear signal that Wizard of the Coast is going to do the exact same thing with Final Fantasy Commander decks they did with Lord of the Rings. So Lord of the Rings Commander decks have been printed and printed and printed and printed. Now, these I think will follow the exact same trajectories as the Lord of the Rings. Like Lord of the Rings, you want to buy low and sell high because there have been plenty of times in the market since the release of Lord of the Rings, now going on over 2 years, that the Lord of the Rings decks have actually gone for a pretty penny. So that's what's going to happen with these. They're going to come in waves. These morons online are going to blow them all out for barely making any profit on just basically above distributor level by the time that the TCG Player takes their big fees. And then all that will be weeded out, and then people will be able to make some profit off of the Final Fantasy Commander decks. Now, how do I feel about Wizards of the Coast's current reprint strategy for these sorts of decks? Now, first of all, there hasn't been a lot of consistency because I think we're still waiting for a lot of other Commander decks to get reprinted. And I understand they would have had and kind of leapfrog these because Final Fantasy, of course, is such a hot product, and Commander decks were definitely scarce compared to what the market wanted. But all the people, this is, again, I'm shaking my head at all the people that argued with me, all the people that, the naysayers about what Wizards of the Coast was going to do with this, because we have Lord of the Rings as the basically the benchmark that we can look at and see exactly how they handled it. And there is nothing stopping from Wizards of the Coast to printing play boosters and Commander decks as much as they want. They're going to milk this the same way they milked with Lord of the Rings. Now, the problem was, the last time they did this, we went into a bear market. We went into a massive bear market because of the continual flood of Lord of the Rings products coming in. And it made things, I believe it was like March Machines was around the exact same time period. It made all of those sets really struggle because Lord of the Rings continue to be more appetizing than buying into the current sets of the time. And so I am worried about this. So my last video was about Edge of Eternities and the response of Edge of Eternities. Is Edge going to continue to respond the way it has now that people actually have Final Fantasy to compete with? And I'm telling you, play boosters are next. They're not going to just let play boosters continue to be the price they're at. We had basically a 100 or a 50% decrease in Final Fantasy Commander decks from their high. These were going for 400 at one point, and now they're all the way back to 200 bucks for the Commander deck. And I believe I think it's like I can't remember distribution price. Like some of these I have paid more than because distributors are still playing a little bit greedy, and you know, rightfully so. I think that when your contracts with places like Pokemon, you know, you see Wizards of the Coast continue to stock up Costco rather than, you know, and then you have to be very greedy with the product you do get from those lines. And as far as I know, distributors must not have like contractual agreements with Wizards of some sort of set price point that they can sell stuff with, except for that initial WPN allocation that is released. I think that has to go within some sort of threshold. But subsequent waves, it must be to their own prerogative what they sell for. So I did pay a little over what I paid for last time at the kind of WPN allocations for these. And so I'll have to check my numbers. I don't even know if 200 is worthwhile getting excited about at the moment. Like I said, I think that if stores, especially these online sellers, like why would you want to just blow this product out unless you're confident that Wizards are going to continue to do wave after wave after wave? And again, that's not really what happened with Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings came in these big, you know, these massive releases, price crash, and they'd actually recover quite quickly. Unfortunately, Lord of the Rings, I think, is now way low still. And it's still in stock, all the distributors. You can still get it to your heart's content, because that last wave of Commander decks for Lord of the Rings was absolutely massive. And I think at that point, like, the market had finally moved on from its Lord of the Ring craze. But the Lord of the Ring craze did last the entire summer into the Christmas season. And it just basically soaked up all of the money that was available to go through to everything that was Wizard of the Coast or Magic oriented. So this is kind of the market that I'm assuming we're going back in. It is a little bit unsettling because we have had such a hot market of Edge of Eternities. I, for one, do not think that this market can hold. I think that now we're going to start seeing the chinks in the armor and prices to start collapsing of maybe not Edge of Eternities or Final Fantasy, but everything that was starting to recover. So we're looking at all the things from like Duskmoor and Aether Drift. I have a hard time unless we see like a really robust standard season where people actually need cards, or if it becomes fun again to collect standard sets and build commander decks or standard decks. Or I know that some of them do have commander cards from that era that you can get out of like play boosters. I know that some of those slots out of Duskmoor are good, and there's a lot of cards in that era that are desirable. However, are they more desirable now with how pushed Edge of Eternities was in the reprint slot, and now with Final Fantasy, you know, completely flooding the market once again? So that's where we're at. So I'm going to start with these, though. You know, we have a lot of back orders we have to fulfill. So if you have put in a back order in our Patreon Mind, we're going to start fulfilling the commander decks. Hopefully the play boosters will start to roll in as time goes on. So it is a good thing. It is something that I can, you know, make customers happy and fill. These have been very, very expensive. I mean, there have been solo commander decks that have been selling for higher now than the entire collection of, or the entire set of these, which will bring the prices down for the singles contained in them. Everything across the board will become a lot cheaper for the people who actually want to experience Final Fantasy. The people that are really going to struggle now are the people that actually invested in these. Do not invest in commander decks unless, like, the only time I would make a big move on commander decks is at the very end of the print cycle. And that is something you're going to have to really, really watch, because Wizards is not consistent with when that happens. So Wilds of Eldraine is still up in the air, whether or not like its commander decks will get a reprint, or its set boosters, do they have set boosters? Yeah, set and play get reprints or not. Because it still is in the life cycle. They haven't done a last call on Wilds of Eldraine, and I believe not even for things like Lost Caverns and Vixalan, so those are even still eligible. So there's a lot of products that Wizards of the Coast can and will reprint if the market actually does become, you know, appetizing for them to do so. So I guess that's kind of the $1 million question right now, is exactly where will Wizards of the Coast go with these you know, current products that are in their life cycle, as well as, you know, trying to make room for all the stuff that they are printing. We have Spider-Man, this huge. We have collector boosters like what that are going for like $700 on the pre-order price for Spider-Man. We have those dumb welcome decks that are selling for insane prices that are basically given, like, handed out to stores. We have Last Airbender. It's going nuts here. We have, I know, some announcements that are going to be coming up soon about Universes Beyond. I kind of want to talk about that too. Like, one of the things I always try to, if you actually look at Ultimate Guard, so Ultimate Guard printed Last Airbender products before Last Airbender was spoiled as Universes Beyond. And it might be a coincidence, but they also did that with, I'm trying to think of the other set they did that with, and then it was a secret, SpongeBob, and then SpongeBob was announced as a secret lair. And so when I was looking over my available pre-orders right now from Ultimate Guard, I noticed that they're really pushing Harry Potter hard. So I don't know what that means. Are we going to get a Harry Potter announcement for Universes Beyond? I actually think that it would do really well as a Magic set, just because it'd be easy to design with the different houses. And, you know, they have plenty of lore to go off of with the billion books that have been released for Harry Potter and whatnot. So, yeah, I found that kind of interesting with Ultimate Guard, that they're just doing a lot of different lines with Harry Potter. Anyway, so I'm pretty overwhelmed right now. You're seeing we're still in the progress of shipping everything out, and now we get slammed with all this stuff. So we are hard at work, or hardly working, you decide, and we'll get back to that. But just thought I'd let you know about Final Fantasy. Man, my comment section is full of a lot of know-it-alls that, you know, spew the same misinformation over and over with their matter of facts of how it all works. And that's the one thing I will promise you, is I'll try to be as transparent as possible. Sometimes I will get it wrong, but I am going to show you exactly what comes in, my communications with distributors, and try to, you know, show everyone exactly where the market is going, at least from the eyes of someone that's very involved in it. And speaking of someone that isn't involved in working, and I don't even know what I pay her for, just to step on and trip over. Chloe, get to work. Get to work, you lazy dog. Do something with your life. Yeah, at least bark at customers. And there's the birthday boy. Happy birthday, Buttons. We're gonna go get a steak later. It's his birthday. What are you, 4 years old today? You are an old dog now. Anyway, we gotta get back to work. So, short little video today, and catch my breath, kind of all over the place. Thanks for watching.